Hi, I'm Audrey. I live in the Napa Valley where we believe that food and cooking are a joy and a pleasure, not a burden. I'm going to be sharing some of my family's favorite recipes. I really love a good home-cooked meal, so I'm still cooking. Hello there. Today I'm going to make one of the simplest kinds of candy that you can possibly make, and that's called bark. And there's so many different things that you can put into bark. And I'm going to show two kinds today that I like to make, but the sky's the limit. I mean, you can put pretzels, you can put chopped up Oreo cookies, peppermint pieces, all kinds of possibilities, just so you have some kind of a chocolate base for those things to cling to, because that's kind of the important thing. And once it's chilled and all set up, then you can just break it apart into pieces and go from there. Okay, so I'm going to use this Guittard white baking chips, and I recommend getting a good grade of white chocolate chips if you're going to make white chocolate, because you don't want to use candy coating that has some ingredients in it that aren't so good. Okay, so I'm going to cut this open. And I have to tell you, I got the idea for this recipe after going kind of to an upscale grocery store here in Napa. And I saw this bark in the checkout line. You know how they have all those tempting things, so while you're waiting in line, so hopefully you'll snag a few. Anyway, and when I looked at the ingredients, I thought, well, I can make that. And it was just white chocolate. And by the way, this is a 12-ounce bag. Trader Joe's, it's a 10-ounce bag. Somewhere else, it's an 11-ounce bag, but that doesn't really matter. That's close enough. So, anyway, that's where I got my inspiration for this kind. And so after it melts, we're going to add toasted almonds. These aren't salted. I buy them just toasted, and dried cranberries. I have one daughter who likes to put shelled pistachios in, especially at Christmas, to get the green and the red. So anyway, there's all kinds of possibilities of what you can do. So I'm going to take this over to my microwave, because that's one of the simplest ways to melt these. You can do it in a double boiler, but you have to be oh so careful you don't get any water in the chocolate, because that can ruin the chocolate. So 1 minute on high, and then I'll give it a little stir, and then it's probably not going to be quite done. So anyway, I'll show you what I made this morning. That's what it looks like. Isn't that beautiful? And besides the cranberries and the almonds and the white chocolate, you put some orange zest in. And when you zest the orange, you want to be careful you don't get any juice in the chocolate, because that's what ruins chocolate, is if liquid gets in there. You can use orange oil. You can use dried fruits, but you just don't want anything with liquid in it. But see, isn't that nice? And then you just break that up, and then you can serve it. Okay. We'll give this a little stir. See, it's starting to melt just a little bit on the bottom, but not enough to incorporate anything else. Okay. And I do put that on high heat. High, whatever, well, whatever you call it, or microwave, on high. So I should get to zesting some of this orange. I did wash it really well after I bought it at the store and then dried it because I didn't want any water in my chocolate. So that's what this recipe has. And that's what you see over there. White chocolate chips, toasted almonds, dried cranberries, and orange zest. So I used, this was a 12-ounce bag of white chocolate chips. That's a half a cup of cranberry, dried cranberries, and a half a cup of almonds. And then the zest from a big orange, or you could do 2 smaller oranges. Look at that now. It's beautiful. See how creamy that is? So I better get my zesting done here. And then I pour it out onto a wax paper. Cover it with another layer of wax paper. And then I put it in the refrigerator to set. Whoops, I'm sorry to be making all that racket. Okay, there's that orange zest. I'll go ahead now, make sure the chips are all stirred in. See how nice and creamy that is? So I'll put the almonds, that's a half a cup of the almonds, a half a cup of the dried cranberries, and then I'm going to put this orange zest in to give it a nice orange flavor. So you just want to mix it so the orange zest gets mixed around in there, and everything is incorporated. Then you pour it out onto this wax paper. Wax paper works well. I don't know about parchment paper. I haven't tried it on parchment paper because I've always used wax, so it might work, I guess. I don't know. Then I hold on to the paper, the wax paper, because it will slip around if you don't. And you don't want this to be thick like a piece of fudge. So bark is supposed to be spread out. Then I'm going to show you another kind that I made. See, so I got it pretty well spread out here. And there, whoops, that would be terrible if it's so long. And I put a wax paper on top of it. So hopefully it doesn't pick up any odors from the refrigerator. And I could just use this bowl where this orange was zested. Okay, the other kind that I like to make is right here. I call it my Rocky Road bark. And so what I did is I used a mixture of milk chocolate chips and semi-sweet chocolate chips. Actually, I did a 3/4 cup of each kind. And then after those were melted, I put in a little over, well, about 1.25 cups of mini marshmallows and a cup of almonds. See, it comes right off the wax paper. And so, I don't know where my gloves are, so I just try to be resourceful and use what I have. And there's what it looks like. And it is so delicious. I used to make Rocky Road candy where you'd end up then with, you know, like thick pieces of fudge. But I really like this, just the bark. It's easy to eat, and these thinner pieces are really great. Okay, so that's that. And this one now has been refrigerated, so whoops. And that's what it looks like. Sorry. That's what it looks like. See, and it's quite easy to eat when it's thinner like that. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I hope you're still cooking too.